Thank you very much. Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. Welcome, one and everyone. It's an exciting night, an exciting gathering. This is our third gathering for National Poetry Month. Congratulations to everyone who's been keeping up however best they can for National Poetry Writing Month. If you have not heard already or drowned me out after the 12th time I said it, we do have a National Poetry Writing Month, a NaPoWriMo private page for people who want to sign up and participate, and we have a number of people doing that or even just commenting. And I'm very glad that people are interacting and commenting and complimenting each other's work. On top of that, we've had some amazing performances. Thank you, Rich Boucher, who brought the house down and brought it back up for the first Wednesday of this month. And then props go to Marianne Honecker, formerly of the Salem area, now in West Virginia. She featured last week, and both these features are available on our YouTube page, or my YouTube page, I should say. I'm too cheap and lazy to have a Stone Soup page on top of what else I have to do. I got too many pages as it is. Tonight, it's my great pleasure to welcome Sue Savoy, a superstar in the open mic and at the Cantab ever since I started going back in the early days of 2013. So this would be very, yes, we're doing both of us a favor, Sue. So we are very excited, and Sue Savoy is going to be having a book coming out from Crooked Treehouse Press. And seeing as how she is featuring right after I actually shut the hell up, I'm gonna go right to the boilerplate that she provided for us. You guys are in for a treat, and for those of you who missed it last night and you're watching us on YouTube, shame, but you're lucky. I'm a generous bastard. You can listen now as I read off the boilerplate. Sue Savoy is a Boston area poet. She is a longtime regular of the Cantab Lodge open mic and is featured there for the Boston Poetry Slam and across New England, including the Dirty Jaron, Slam Free or Die, and Stone Soup. Her book, Tea Poems, 1995 to 2024, a collection of poems about humanity via the lens of the MBTA, is in the works at Crooked Treehouse Press. And because I know what the tea is like, I'm assuming that's an NC-17 rating. So I'll be adjusting the YouTube video accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, you peer persons, friends of all ages, shapes, and sizes, you are all in for a treat. So I ask you now, she is with us. Put your hands together. Let's say 30 to 40 times, physically, audibly, virtually, for Sue Savoy.
Woo! Hi, happy Poetry Month. And thanks for everyone for coming, and thanks for having me. And as Chad said, I am working on a book about poems about the tea. I'm not going to be reading all tea poems tonight, but I did want to start with one. This might not be the best poem to open with, but since we just had the marathon 2 days ago, I'm going to read this. It's called Kindness, parentheses, April 14, 2013. And some of you might remember that date is the day before the bombing. When I got irritated about something, they started talking about kindness. One said, "I just try to spread kindness as much as possible." "Yes," the other one said, "me too. I make an effort to be kind every day. It really does radiate out into the world." They agreed if you spread kindness instead of anger, meanness, or bitterness, it can change things. They said, "I always open doors for people. I give up my seat on the bus. Help someone if they have a lot of bags, things like that." "Well, sure," I said. "It's easy to be kind that way. Just common courtesy, even if it's not always that common." But what about when your kindness is tested, where it's a real challenge to be kind? For example, the day before the marathon, Sunday, boarding the green line, the front door by the driver. First of all, it was only a single car train, which is crazy with all the extra people in town. The driver says, "You can't stand by me. You've got to get behind that line." It was crowded, but not packed. So I go to move in and bounce backwards off the guy standing there who's hardened himself like a force field, repels me into those coming up the stairs behind me. "Move in," I say, because I'm so startled. The guy goes, "Fuck off, there's no room." He's holding a child about 2 years old, wife beside him. I'm speechless, thinking, wow, you talk like that in front of your child? And, well, you're clearly a tourist, never rode the Green Line before, if you think there's no room. But I say, "There's plenty of room." "Where?" he says. His wife then slides over. "Right here," I say, and proceed into the space, followed by 4 or 5 more people. So I'm standing there as the train rumbles out, trying to quell my agitation, when I hear the guy, in a voice you'd use to speak to a 2-year-old, "What a rude lady. Wasn't she nasty? I guess Bostonians are just rude and mean. What an awful woman." Louder with each sentence. Meanwhile, the wife says nothing. "Probably used to him turning it on her," said the friend I reported this to. How would you be kind right here? Is stuffing your anger down your throat, ignoring the taunts, an act of kindness? Are you able to keep from getting angry? If so, is that being kind to yourself? And does being kind to yourself count as much as being kind to others? I'm sorry to say, I was not kind. I certainly didn't hope or think it might be karmically appropriate if that guy got blown up the next day. But is he now going around in a Boston Strong t-shirt, voicing empathy and sorrow, perhaps clicking to donate money? Did he stop to wonder if the rude lady was one of the victims? Does he tell himself, "I should have been kinder to her"? Okay, so this next poem is a form poem called A Golden Shovel. You can look it up, but it starts with someone else's line. And when I first heard about the form and wanted to try it, the first line that came into my head was a Bob Dylan line. So I wrote this. It's called "Money Doesn't Talk, It Swears." Poetry is the opposite of money. A poem can do many good things, but it doesn't convert to cash. You could say its value is all talk and seldom spurs anyone to action, even if it contains a lot of swears. So after I wrote that, I then wrote a whole bunch more of those. So that may someday become a book. And whenever I do a feature, I like to have a new poem. So I wrote another one of these golden shovels from Dylan lines for tonight. And this one is called Love is Just a Four-Letter Word. I should write a poem about love. Can I call myself a poet if I don't? Is the question. I have to say, I just don't care about calling myself a poet. I could probably file 400 so-called poems under the letter L and still wonder what's the meaning of the word. And okay, so I belong to a weekly reading, not the Cantab, but another one, where we have a theme every week and we try to write poems for the theme. So this was written for the theme of music. This poem might be the poem that offends the most people. I don't know. It's called A Poem About Music. I knew as soon as I heard that Titanic song, I was going to hate the movie. Well, also from the trailers, just hearing about it. Didn't see it for over 20 years. And only then, because I had seen a really good Titanic movie from the 50s, and I thought, surely the special effects on the new version at least will be great. Nope. I was so exhausted from all my eye rolling, scoffing, and shit talking. I was glad it sank. And the movie still wasn't over. It's not really about the Titanic anyway, just a rom-com, or would it be rom-drom, that happens to be set on the ship. I was more choked up watching the fake toy model upended in a bathtub in black and white. Titanic is the epitome of everything I hate about Hollywood. Going into details why is another poem. That shit won Best Picture. Come on. I hated it every bit as much when the song followed me like a stalker through a 2-month trip to Central America. A worldwide hit. Good for her. Let's just say that in so-called third world countries, people have a different concept of personal auditory space, or else no one has sleep issues, particularly in Tela, Honduras, where I paid in advance for a week at the beach. But directly across the street was this open-air disco that after one day suddenly started playing really loud and never stopped. Maybe because it was coming up on Semana Santa, Holy Week, their biggest holidays, but it was literally round the clock. And that stupid Titanic song was in the rotation, seemed like every hour, until I went to the landlady and asked for my money back. She argued. I think in my basic Spanish, I said, gesturing out the door, La música, toda la noche, cada día. No puedo dormir. Es loco. She had to relent. I mean, we were shouting this conversation. Hightailed it out of town so I could get somewhere decent before Good Friday, when all buses would stop, everything shut down but the Jesus parades, and you'd be stuck in place for 3 days wherever you landed. Not that I didn't continue being bombarded by the song, pestering me like a peddler determined to sell cheap souvenirs. Looking at the lyrics now, they're not that bad. Once more, you open the door. You're here in my heart. I mean, yeah, The heart does go on. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick haiku. I know we're into April, but this is about March. March comes in like a lion, goes out like a 1 month older lion. Okay. This is another tea poem I'm going to do now. This is a found poem. It's called Voices from Another Bench While Waiting for the Bus. And this would be the number 10 bus at Copley Square if you want a picture in your head. I know Gale Sayers like I'm talking to you. He's dead. I know, but I grew up with him. He died of Alzheimer's. I don't want to hear how someone died. I want to hear how they lived. He was the greatest. Gale Sayers is my idol. We grew up together in the projects. Are you sure about that? Because I can Google. Go ahead. See if he isn't from Omaha, Nebraska. He went to Kansas. I know his college. He was born in Kansas, but grew up in Omaha. If it doesn't say that, I'll give you $500. You don't have that kind of money. I used to run track with his brother Roger. Roger Sayers? How you know that? I told you, I grew up with them. I knew him like I'm talking to you. Now you saying you hung out with Roger? On the high school team. I used to be a fast bugger. Not as fast as Gale Sayers. Nobody was. But I was pretty good back then. Yeah, back then. Thought I was going to be Jim Brown. Ha, Jim Brown. Gale Sayers still got the edge. Jim Brown drug 3 guys 20 yards to make a touchdown. Let me Google that. Had 3 300-pound guys on his damn back. Didn't even slow him down. But Gale Sayers, and then the bus came. I'm now going to do another tea poem, and this is going to be the last tea poem. This is called Pennies. I was sitting on the red line when a fat man in dirty clothes got on, headed straight my way, and shoved himself between me and the next person. Why do they make the seats so small when most Americans are large or even obese? He made no effort to squeeze himself to fit the available space. Elbowed me as he pulled from his pocket a handful of coins. His hands were huge. It was a mountain of change. Booze breath fumed from him. Perhaps he had just spent the afternoon panhandling. He proceeded to pick out the pennies and throw them on the floor, at least $1's worth by the time I got up and moved, because I couldn't stand the smell, the squishing and bumping any longer. He glared at me slit-eyed. If we'd been outside, I would have feared he would hit me. He had a fresh cut on his cheek. Well, we live in a great country, don't we? Even alcoholic street people can't be bothered dealing with pennies. Okay. My next one is going to be another form poem. This comes from a mishearing of the term crown of sonnets. So this is called Clown Sonnet. The world is overfull of silly clowns. Just some will wear a garish painted face. They all describe to you their ups and downs, presenting as in court their dismal case. You shouldn't bother with what clowns will say, in words or in their silent body moves. Don't follow them or you'll be led astray. How big a fool are you is all it proves. Behind the makeup lurks a pasty man. A jester is a different kind of card, who shines a light on follies where you stand. A clown has corpses buried in his yard. Beware the clown, but listen to the jest. To know who's who might be your biggest test. And yes, that was iambic pentameter. Very difficult. I will insert here another haiku. You cannonballed in to the swimming pool of my heart. Now I'm all wet. This poem, this next one is a pretty old poem. It's called A Few Cells. I don't think you're aware of it, but I took a little piece of your heart. Just a few cells. You won't miss them. Your heart is big. At least that's what you told me. I put them in a petri dish with some culture, added a few cells from my own heart. They grew and multiplied, began to fuse together, as you had said we would always be, even though the rest of your cells no longer want me. The combined heart started to beat as one in an eerie, glowing pulse. When it was about to outgrow the dish, I put it in the freezer and it stopped. I never forgot the experiment, but I didn't know what to do with the tumor of our frozen love. I gave away or sold more pieces of my heart over the years. A few cells here, a big clump there. They multiplied and grew in other people's dishes for a while until they stopped feeding them or stored them in their own deep freeze. Sometimes I would stand and stare into the compartment at our old suspended love. One day I felt my heart was so small, I thought it might fade away from working so hard. I removed our cells from the freezer. They thawed and began thrumming faintly. I injected them into my chest. A shock of cold at first. Then I felt the irregular beat becoming stronger, flushing fresh blood all through my system. But soon it began to grow like a cancer. My heart became 3 sizes too big. I didn't tell anyone because I liked being so full of heart, even though it hurt. I tried giving bits of our mutant heart to other people. They always die outside my body. Science is so complicated. So I guess this will be my last poem since the time, I'm checking the time here. This was a prompt given to me in a writing workshop. It's a poem with math on the subject of advice. Advice multiplied by wisdom minus number of years on earth. Solve for X. Advice divided by advice equals standing still, which is less than or equal to creative paralysis. Paralysis times anything equals paralysis. It's like zero. You get advice factorial when you're out of work. Problems plus advice is the coefficient of the correct total. That's a rough estimate, a back of the envelope calculation. But who's doing the algebra? A lot of times it's your parents, for whom advice is a numeral that can be subtracted from anything. To them, it's a fraction of what you need in the diameter of the family. You're the prime number in that equation. The only factors, you and the digit 1. Parents are your square roots, your roots that seem pretty square, until you become your parents squared, even to the nth degree, where n is the number of times you hear their words but ignore them until you see the probability they were right some percent of the time. The hypothesis was difficult to solve. You thought it was multiple choice. Now it's too late to color in all of the above as an option. In the calculus of your journey, you're an isosceles triangle who thought you were a sine wave. A lot of people would co-sign that. Life is more of a parabola, but statistics show it takes a while to know you're on the downslope of the curve, because calculators were only invented after the test was well underway. You missed the algorithm where 1 plus 1 added up to anything like a positive integer. All the angles were acute. You were too obtuse to fit. An abacus couldn't help you now. Your radius has become a Fibonacci sequence with as many decimal places as pi. And you're just trying to decide if the absolute value is binomial. Who's the numerator? Who's the denominator? While your future quotient is dividing like an amoeba escaped from biology class. Do you figure on average you're the remainder or sum of whole numbers? Would you like a protractor with that?
Well, I would have rather done 3 more poems on it, written 3 more poems on iambic pentameter than try and write something like that. That's not my best subject, but that was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, 30, 40 more times for Sue Savoy, who I'm going to ask just because out of honoring International Haiku Day, if you have one more encore haiku.
Ooh, let's see. Let me see if I have one memorized, because I don't have any written down.
Fair enough.
Oh, this is an old one, and I think I probably did it the last time I was featured at Stone Soup in person.
No kidding.
But
Callback.
it's the only one off the top of my head, I remember right now.
Let's hear
It's
it.
I was actually going to put in my bio that I'm a Boston area poet and a cat person, but then I
Yes.
thought, oh, I'm going to have to do a cat poem. So anyway, here is a cat haiku. I'm cute and fluffy. You can scratch behind my ears. Okay, that's enough.
Thank you so much, Sue. That that was a lot of fun. I think I remember that haiku from back in the day when we gathered live at the Out of the Blue in Cambridge. So thank you so much for that time for that callback, and thank you so much for the wonderful feature. If you have any link to the Crooked Treehouse Productions page that has your book, if it's not out, if it's not only not out yet, if it doesn't have a page, that's fine. But if you want any donations, you can send us a link to your PayPal or Venmo or whatever it is, or Cash App or whatever it is you find Vogue to use, and people will be encouraged to donate it. And I'll be posting those links, that information out tomorrow when I post the snowsuit video and when I post at least one picture from tonight. So oh,
So the book is still in process, but I will tell you, I will contact you and tell you when there's a link or when you can get the book, and
okay,
you can post it on your page.
sounds
And
good.
I'm not very tech savvy, and I'm a little bit afraid of things, so I do not have a Venmo or anything like that. So
Well, the
don't
Stone Soup
worry
Army will
about
do
it.
their part when you send us the link for the book.
And thank you all for showing up and listening.
Thank you again. Thank you again very much. And that was very wonderful. And you can you can backtrack the chat. This is a very well received feature and very appropriate for National Poetry Month. Can't wait to have more like this for the rest of the year. Keep National Poetry Month going for the rest of the year, because why the fuck not? No one's paying us to do it, to celebrate it. This is in April. Might as well celebrate for the whole rest of 2024. Might be the only thing worth celebrating in 2024. We'll see. But thank you so much, Sue. And we're gonna get transition to the open mic. I did get the Ramdonator 5000 to draw up some names, and we have some people who are ready to go. I'm not. It looks like we're leading off with poet, artist, humorist, and recently published author of stone poetry. Catchy title. Let's welcome up Mr. Richard Spizak, who needs to unmute. There
Thank
you
you,
go.
my friends. Thank you so much. Wonderful set, Sue. Really enjoyed it. I love your sense of humor. Fantastic. And I do a lot of science poems, which are widely regarded as rather obscure. So I absolutely salute your mathematic one. Just fantastic. I'm going to do a little political stuff tonight, hopefully for your amusement. And this first one is called, come on now, don't be so pesky. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Trump's attorney requests a delay. Trump's attorney requests a delay. The start of baseball is just a few days away. The trial, of course, must be delayed. The trout spring nesting runs can occur any day. The trial sessions must be put on hold. The Parisian fashion show were overly bold. The Trump cases again must be put on hold. The glacier retreat has been revolting, I'm told. Again, they call for a delay of the trial. It seems Mr. Trump is still in denial. All the trials, it seems, must be delayed. The Andromeda Galaxy is on a path to violate our dear beloved Milky Way. The Trumpian trial must be placed on hold. His attorney Giuliani is getting old. Better delay the trial. The attorney Hava is now growing mold. The Trump attorneys request a delay. And then this one, also on the curious and most disreputable former president. This is called The Most Colored Zillionaires. Let us take up a collection, not to embarrass this selection, of this electoral eminence, or thereby establish some kind of precedent. Let any question his noble mobile motive of supremacy, or dare anyone question his evident preeminent legitimacy. where any candidate whose predominancy comes into question during this or any other closely examined electoral damaged election, everyone knows if he runs, he wins, or else it is clear and obvious to anyone sin. Give in. But wait, don't hesitate. Just break out your wallet. You have the talents. Spill your talents for this valiant, albeit morbidly errant knight. Let us spill out and empty our purses as he nurses even the tiniest of judicial reverses. Curses. Since scaring Donnie's karma has been suspended as easily as our democratic models upended, he dismisses his valet, sends him to the darkest alley at the very start of the party. But send your pennies and your dollars, or he'll send out dogs to tighten and frighten those electric spiky collars. Yet his southern exposure of the bitchy, batchy barrels of stinking red inking corporate drivel, reputations continue to shrivel. And while they drag the bankers to the brink, the Russian rubles rarely offer that kind of money and jewels, you think? Any unemployed fools over the brink? But this guy has proved to be Putin's quite as solid as he offers secrets off the palate's prudence. Twice he turns round the daily leakage, hands off to the waiting valet buckets, twice as violent as his campaign speakage. Send your money to him, it's urgent, before they place him before the legal civic surgeons, who'll digest and disgorge his phony fiscal costume scourge. So in the cell goes one more bozorific, greedy buffoon. Lucky the civic mansion still has room for even this rough cast, nasty old baboon.
Thanks so much, Richard. Everyone check out his Facebook page, friend him. He's got 2 Facebook pages. There's just that much of him to share. And he is, and ask him about his book. Up next, I'd like to welcome up Jackie Chow.
Okay. So I'm gonna read 2 relatively short poems. I have posted online that a poem of mine got accepted by a Panoply zine. Is Panoply zine,
I saw
which
that.
is a
Congratulations.
journal I like very much. But first I'm gonna read the poem that wasn't selected, and then I'm gonna read the poem that was selected. So the first one is called Melancholia Street. I walk each day down Melancholia Street. There, dusty-haired dandelions sprout through black cracks. The gaping windows of the gray houses expose pale yellow walls. Their inhabitants wear coarse fabrics in dark shades of blue. There is no ocean, just the roaring traffic on Melancholia Street. Nor is there a lull in the swoosh of cars drowning out my heartbeat. Okay, and here's the one that was selected. It's called The Longest Talk. I eat your words like pebbles that weigh down my jaw. Follow the glint in your eyes, the tremor of your lips. Soon the stones add up, spilling to the floor, and I slip into your tattered loafers, tiptoe through your rough world. I spit out the rocks and pick off your shoes. Once you're done talking and your voice fades, then I leave them on the roadside for others to pick up, the weight in my mouth slowly lifting. So those are relatively short. Were we supposed to read 2 poems? 1 poems? I can never remember.
Yours are short enough that it's a moot question, but
Okay.
So it's great. So that's fine. And thank you so much. And congratulations again, Jackie.
Thank you, Chad.
We'll see you next time. And up next, Diana, if you want to read, let me know. You can text me in the comments or just press 1 in the chat, like it's 1998. Let us go now to Mr. Ken Johnson.
You asked for it, Chad.
I did actually.
This is one I was just writing. Oh, that's the chat. That's not my poem. Where'd you hide my poem, you guys? There we are. I call this the clear-eyed love. I haven't decided on the last line, so maybe I'll give you an alternate last line at the end, but enough of that. Clear-eyed love. The woman on whom I've crushed is allergic to my cat. She touches one eye and they both turn red. A stuffiness sounds from her head, and I am caught to contravene. She is warm and loving, and is every bit a woman matched. But what of he who's come before, whom I once rescued from his homeless timidity, and nurtured and cared for years as he with me? I touch my eyes and they turn red, as surety clears throughout my head. I know what's to be done hereof. I choose to keep the cat I love. There you go. Clap now.
You must clap now. Okay. Thank you.
Now.
Schweinhund. Okay. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much.
I know
And-
nothing.
You'll say nothing. Okay, good. He obeys orders. Okay, let's go now to our next person on the open mic. Who did the Raminator 5000 choose? Oh God, these two people back to back. All right, we just heard from Ken Johnson. Let's hear from Bill Lewis.
Yahoo!
I do not know if the mic can take the pressure, Captain.
Yay! We get to do it. It's our turn. Yes, 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 yes. I am so happy. What a beautiful day. I hope that you are all having half as good a day as 1/4 good of the day. I love my students. I love teaching high schoolers who are excited about what they're doing. Yes, this makes my heart full and happy. And every time they close the sessions and say, "Thank you for the lesson, Mr. Lewis." Oh, I feel like I am a wonderful genius. I tell you, life is gorgeous. I remember I was on the red line and it wasn't too crowded, and this short, sort of rotund Honduras woman who was a house cleaner comes in and she trips on the subway car. She gets in, she falls flat on her face in the subway car, and everybody was just staring at her for like forever and ever. It just seemed like hours went by, but it was probably like a second, because at the end of 2 seconds, there were 3 guys right there with her. There was one guy on the floor on his belly talking to her and telling her that, "Oh my God, that is so embarrassing. I've been there, I've done, don't worry about it." And these 3 guys are there with her for the rest of the trip. And it was just so cool. I mean, I was just, yeah. And now I need permission to share my screen, if I may, Mr. Looks like I may. Digging dirt is good for the soul, relaxing for the spirit. A man, a shovel, a hole lot of dirt, and it's good. 1,000 shovelfuls full, one by one, by one, by one, by one. You know, it's a tiny bit deeper or more filled in my case. And there will be an end to your labors, but just not yet. Stab the ground, stomp the shovel, lean back and bounce. Clap the edges, lean again, jerk and clean. Step to the hole, toss and splash, repeat and repeat and repeat. What asshat would dig a 4 feet hole in the field and then abandon it when they leave? Kids are crazy, I get it, but you fill it in when you leave. God fucking damn it to hell. Oh, and Ellie, she loves the hole, barking at each shovelful, jumping into the pit and jumping out covered in mud. I would punish her if she weren't so damn happy.
Thank you.
Disneyland for dogs is mud. Thank God we have a stream to the property so she can bite the water and feel clean. Yeah, bite that water. That stream is in trouble. Bite that water, dog. Bite the stream. An hour gone. A half foot shallower. Today and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day into the last syllable of recorded time, and nothing more to think of than mud and dog and shovel. Guest appearance by Ellie the dog.
Thank you, Bill. Much appreciated as always. We're going to now go to Miss Jan Rowe, one half of the Poetry Power couple here at Stone Soup. Just got on mute.
Okay, all right.
You're good.
Hi, the poet Carol Jean Smith from church asked me to write something about the climate. She said she was going to put something, but I said the first thing, she said just 2 sentences, so this is what I wrote. Israel forbids the Palestinians to collect rainwater. A much younger IDF settler, sanctioned by the USA, perhaps for this, attacked a much older Palestinian and dumped that farmer's water. So that's what I wrote. And she said, well, she said it was supposed to be a prayer. So I forgot that part. So I redid it. Okay. I haven't sent it out yet, but it's just as Joseph said of his brothers, the originals of Israel's 12 tribes. They meant it to me for evil, but God meant it to me for good. Lord, protect those collecting rainwater in Gaza, those protesting Nestle's greed in Michigan, and show the truth to those fracking, destroying drinking water in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Lord. I'll send that. She wants to put something in the bulletin for Poetry Month. She's a poet.
Thank you, Jan. Let's who do we bring it over to now? I think we're gonna bring it over to Mr. Robert Fleming, our other resident share of screens here at Stone Soup Open Mic.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. And as a tribute to the haiku month, I will share a haiku. The vow of poverty. Which is better? Which is worse? The vow of poetry. I've created a submission for a magazine called Sonic Boom. They're having a theme called collage. This is my first one. It's called The Intercom Speaks. And it's a memory piece for me. I was born in 1963, and starting in about 1970, the house I grew up in had an intercom in almost every room. And my mother used to call me on the intercom to my room, and sometimes I would listen to her and sometimes I would respond. So this is called The Intercom Speaks. And the only word, there are actually two words on it, dinner, and then what coming from my mother, and the word now coming from my mother. This is the second piece, which is inspired by the movie and musical Grease. It's called All the Way. Thank you for letting me share my two visual pieces. And the two activities which I'm doing is I'm one of the editors for Old Scratch Press. Our next meeting is on Saturday. I created and submitted the agenda. We will be, the two biggest issues are we have 4 books coming out this year to discuss the book statuses of those and what we can do to help move them along. And then we also just published a literary magazine, Instant Noodles. We'll be going over the successes and challenges for the editors of that magazine for that issue. And I'm also pleased on May 1st with one of my colleagues from Old Scratch Press, Morgan Dalloway, and myself, we will be attending the Delaware Press Association because we both won writing awards in Delaware. Thank you and greetings from Delaware.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, so looking at the list, I think we only have 2 more actual readers of poetry, and these 2 are going to be quite a literal change of tune. So let's put some tunes in between and welcome up our resident musician here at Stone Soup Poetry, the pulse of Stone Soup and the poetry scene, Mr. Ethan Mackler himself.
Hi.
How you doing? See him at the next Garage Poets gathering, hopefully happening soon. Thank you very much, Mr. Mackler. So now looks like we got we have a new contestant, as they used to say in the old fighting games of the 90s. Here comes a new challenger. So before we get to our regular two closers, we're gonna meet for the first time, I think, Deanna to the Stone Soup virtual podium. Take it away.
Thank you, Chad. I
You're wel-
did read here once during the pandemic, and I fell off the scene. But anyway, back tonight, came to hear my girl Sue. So you encouraged me, asked me if I wanted to read. So this is a very, very short poem. I think it's a style called anaphora, has that repetition. Anyway, I'm not sure what the title is, but it's about dealing with the medical establishment. Medical offices that smell of alcohol, medical institutions that reek of sterility, medical rooms that hold silent mystery, medical equipment that feel cool and aloof, medical documents that speak with detachment, medical hands that touch so hastily, medical hearts, where are you? And if there's time, I have one other one I'd like to read that's a little longer.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. This one, I think the title is What's Wrong with You? Well, I don't know. That might be the title, might be What's Wrong with You, or the title might be Water. Haven't decided yet. I wake up craving water without fail every morning, 2 tall glasses with lemon. In conversation, a friend exclaimed, "Don't like water, struggle to get 8 glasses a day." What's wrong with you? Oops, did I say that out loud? For me, water is life. How can a human not desire water? I need it inside. I need its flowing sensation on my outsides. Wait, turn page. I inhale more deeply upon seeing water. An exhalation of relief when I hear water. I feel maternal comfort when I consume such an elixir. Well, born a Pisces, to 2 Piscean parents, into a family of commercial fishermen. No wonder I create designs with beach findings. Lived inland for 1 year, in denial of my coastal nature. Hearing my incessant yearnings, friends took me to a small brook, knee deep as I recall. Nevertheless, I immersed myself, splashing and even slurping. Ended up with a gum infection. Right? Not done. Since then, I've dwelled close to the sea, drinking in the salty perfumes and sights from my windows, relishing in its liquid embrace when climates allow my immersion. Now, an older woman with long white hair, my 5-year-old great niece believes that I am the oldest living mermaid on this planet. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you came out of hiding to hear Sue read, and I hope you come back to us again. We do this every Wednesday. Just about. So thank you again. Up next, we're getting a little bit of static, so I muted you. Up next, we have Rich Boucher, featured the top of this month of National Poetry Month for Stone Soup. Not content to rest on his laurels, he's back with us tonight.
Hey, Chad, thank you. I'm actually not sharing tonight. Tonight I just wanted to be there for Sue and just to listen.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. In that case,
okay.
in that case, then we are left with our closer, Mr. James Van Loy. Reminding you that I'll be posting for the next couple. I post every Thursday, but I'm posting calls for submissions from various areas. There's a lot of people of note for this particular month. Gnashing Teeth Publishing is accepting a poem with a 5 o'clock Central Time deadline, with the hopes of publishing it during National Poetry Month. You basically publish it before you send it to them before 5 Central Time, and then you should know if you were chosen. If you weren't chosen, they won't write you back because they're dealing with a lot of submissions. But if you were chosen, they'll let you know and they'll publish you on the Gnashing Teeth website. Also, Oddball Magazine is always accepting, and anyone who is producing new work this month, you should definitely send it our way. This person reading now, of course, has a forum, a platform, a weekly column with us, weekly poem column called It's All One Thing. You can check it out at oddballmagazine.com every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. And of course, the man has earned that, given his status as a poet and activist and a Bostonian. It's kind of a history lesson of not just his life, but also the city and the country itself. Let's welcome up as our closer and thank Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have, this is Doddering Duopoly 2. Doddering Duopoly 2. Trump nods out in court, so suddenly I know he must have sleep apnea on board. His hulking, bulking, bursting out sleeves body of processed fast food engorgement of fat, salt, and sugar, pure carbohydrate, flapping behind tie, and desperate pretensions, while old Sleepy Joe is ever so careful to always appear wide awake. So Energizer Bunny Biden mechanical doll walk, always looking for next handhold and frisking about in the activated minefields of natural result of past U.S. crimes. A chain of karmic cause and effect Trump doesn't even think about as he goes traipsing here and there and jumping up and down without a thought, when old Sleepy Joe is now Genocide Joe, bouncing up and down, just madmen on the burning deck, New World Order, as the ridgepole of the roof burns through, and the floorboards send up great spirals of sparks under the demented stomp, clomp feet. I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me, please. But he ends up knocking me back down on my knees. Lord, there's been times that I thought that I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm going to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Oh, yes, it will. I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Looy. I appreciate your work as always. I appreciate the work of everyone who came tonight, and I appreciate the work of Sue Savoy. Definitely be on the lookout when I send a message to the Stone Soup Army, which is my fancy name for the Stone Soup Facebook page, to grab a copy from Crooked Treehouse Publishing. We have 2 authors who are getting books from that publisher featuring. One is Sue, of course, and the other one is going to be a feature in May. Her name is Valerie Loveland, and her poems are based on the I believe the Unsolved Mystery TV series. So these are very niche books, but very, as you can tell, still very diverse and highly recommended. So we'll be doing a double. We're almost doing a double Crooked Treehouse feature for both April and the month of May, which is Stone Soup's 53rd anniversary. Stay tuned for more announcements, not just for next month of who closes out National Poetry Month, but who kicks off Stone Soup's 53rd. So with that, we give our final wave for the night. I'm so glad everyone was here tonight, and I appreciate all of you, whether or not you read, whether you came to read or just came to listen. Thank you guys very much, and stay tuned for more announcements and more calls for publication. Stay tuned for the release of Stone Soup's zine, a semi-official zine, Stone's Throw. Be putting that together this week. And thank you all very much. Have a good night. It could be like this every week. All we need is you. Take care of yourself. Take care of someone else. Or as a canceled person once voiced in a cartoon chihuahua, show's over. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Deanna. Come back again. And good night to each and every one of you.